These Funko Pops keep raising up in value over time and really climbing up as of recently, and I'm going to tell you why. Yo guys, what is up and welcome back to another video here. Today what we're going to be talking about is these certain pops that keep raising up over value, and they're really dramatically increasing by the weeks. More specifically, what I'm talking about are the Horror Chase Funko Pops and some of the older vaulted ones, and actually some of the newer ones that are climbing up too. So what we're seeing as of recently is just along with actually a lot of just pops in general. They're kind of climbing up this year. There's a lot of reasons for that, but what we're seeing is that a lot of these pops, which have always sat for kind of a while, they're starting to go up there. And this is the case with the Horror Funko Pops. If you remember, as recently as maybe like last year, a lot of them were sitting just constantly in between the $100 to $2 or $200 range, and some of them even below 100. And they would just never escape, you know, like that kind of limbo, just always in between there, just never being able to get out. And that's because of kind of just the availability that was always there for them and the market that was there for them. Now, as you may know, if not, the Horror Chase Funko Pops follow the ratio for what the older Chase ratios were, which were 1 in 36. Now, when Funko first started out, when they were introducing Chases, shops would get these master cases which had 36 pops, and one of them inside would be the Chase. This was the case for a lot of the old DC pops, and this was the case for the horror pops, and I know some of the Hanna-Barbera ones also follow that ratio. So that's why there's always just been kind of this medium that it was always met, because the market wasn't being flooded with them, but there was still a steady amount of stock being put into the market. It's not like how like Chases are now. Like on day one, if you're the first one to sell it, you can sell it for like $100, but as it settles, you know, it'll settle anywhere from like 40 to 50 bucks. The Chases back then always kind of just settled around that area, unless it was a chase of a retired figure. So what we're seeing here is that something's changed, and it's specifically kind of really affecting the Horror Funko Pops, and it's making them climb all the way up. Now, I have here on my monitor kind of just some graphs of certain ones that keep going up, so I'm going to be referencing them every here and then, but that's just kind of to talk about which ones really stood out to me. And the ones that I'm going to be talking about, I will throw up on the screen there for you guys, so you can also see the graphs and also see how like sharply they've been increasing. So we'll start it off talking about the Freddy Krueger Chase. Now, as early as last year, or as early in this year in January, it was sitting around $55. Now, I remember it would sit there. You could find it on Mercari, on eBay, and your Facebook groups, always like $50 to $60. And that was kind of just its price. Like, it always stayed that price. But as recent as like this past week, one sold for $155, and it's sitting at a value of $165. Now, this is the lowest, this is the cheapest one out of all of them, and it's always been the cheapest one out of all of them. And I don't know if that's just because a lot of people don't like Freddy Krueger, or that they don't like how the Chase looks for it, but this one, even though it was the cheapest one, it has now become what the other prices were before those shot up. And then the next one we're going to be talking about here is the Leatherface Chase. Now, this one's different than the other ones. This one doesn't glow in the dark. This one's just more bloody with the blood splatter all over. As early as this year, was selling for around $110, which that on its own was an increase. I remember last year it was also around kind of the $80 range, so it got a little bit of a bump at the beginning of the year, but now it's selling anywhere between $190 as of recently, with a value sitting at $220. So, you know, it seems like the ones that were easily accessible before, those are now getting really hard to try to get. And if people want them, you know, they're going to have to pay a pretty buck for them. Kind of going up in value now. Up next is what we have is the Beetlejuice Chase. Now, this one might not specifically be horror as a part of like the horror icons, like the slasher movies, stuff like that. But as early as this year, it was sitting at $85 at the beginning of January. Now, there's recent sales, it's been up to $240, and it's sitting at a value of $230. This one I do remember being one of the higher end ones. It was always around like $100, but as you see, you know, sales keep going up and up as people keep buying them and less stock is becoming available for them. The next one that I regret not getting is the Michael Myers Chase. As early as this year, it was selling for around $125. As recent as the beginning of this month, it sold for $340, and it's sitting at a value of $300. Now, these I can see why they're more attractive for people to want to buy, because the mask itself glows, and it glows a pretty nice color, and we rarely kind of just ever gets a new variant for horror pops. And then last but not least, for the horror chases, here we have the Jason chase. Now this one, I know the value is different depending on which glow chase you have. If you have the blue glow or the green glow, I know people are paying different prices for them, because one of them is the older one that isn't being made anymore. I don't know which one off the top of my head it is, but as early as this year it was selling for around 130 bucks, which was normal. It always sat around that area. And as of recently, it's sold for 380, and it's sitting at a value with $400. And this isn't really exclusive just to the chases. We are seeing this with a lot of the horror Funko Pops. I'll throw some up there on the screen for you. It's some that I can name off the top of my head. It's the seed. No, not the seed. It's the Bride of Chucky, where he's all like stitched up. That one was slowly starting to climb up a bit, and it's kind of gotten a little bit of a jump. That one I think is the one that's worth the most out of all of the Chucky Pops at the moment. Another one, or another two that come to mind actually, which have always kind of been steadily climbing up there, is Ghostface and Billy the Puppet from Saw. And those I know that have been slowly climbing up because more and more fakes are being made of it. So it's kind of getting harder and harder to find actual real versions of it. So when people can find an actual real pop of it, they'll more than likely pay a little bit more of a premium for it, because the market's kind of getting flooded with fakes. Another one is Sam from Trick or Treat. That one always kind of was around the $100 range. I'm not sure its exact value, but again, I'll throw it up there on the screen, and I know it has increased some. And Slim from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, that one had been climbing up over this year, especially with the new set being released. So people are going to want to complete that set, and they can't buy it for retail, so they're just going to have to pay aftermarket price for it. And the one that kind of really shocked me, that it really shot up in value, was the Crow. Now this one isn't specifically horror, but it is a part of the movie lines with the horror pops. And this one was always the kind of higher priced one out of that 25th anniversary drop that Hot Topic had a while ago. It was, they had the glow-in-the-dark SpongeBob, the Bloody Chucky, Hot Topic guy, and then the glow-in-the-dark Crow. And the glow-in-the-dark Crow skyrocketed in value. I'm not sure what its exact value was before, like maybe this time last year, but it is really, really up there now, and it's gonna cost you a pretty penny if you want it. Now, what's interesting about this is that there was always this belief that the horror pops, especially the chases, would always kind of maintain their value. There were some YouTubers out there that made videos kind of talking about how don't invest into these pops, which in general, you should never invest money into pops as an investment. If you want to, you can kind of get them just for fun, and you know, if you want to resell them, sure, go ahead, you do you, but never drop an enormous amount of money into these as an investment. That's just a bad choice. But some people were kind of talking about this as don't buy these because they're never going to escape that value range. They're always going to maintain that. And this is kind of proving that wrong. You know, these have shot up in value, and I don't even think that those YouTubers who made those videos would ever know that it would shoot this high up. Now, the big question is, why is this happening? Why are these pops in general kind of raising up value this year? And why specifically with the horror pops? Well, just kind of more in general, right at its face, that you can kind of tell. We're approaching Halloween. Halloween is we're in August, September. We're at the end of August. So like 2 months from now, Halloween's going to be right there. All these stores are carrying Halloween items. Kind of when certain seasons come, or whether it be big movies or stuff like that, sometimes you'll see a big jump in price for certain pops. Well, in this case, it's more of you see that big jump because the Halloween season's coming around. You know, people are getting in the Halloween spirit. These are classic, you know, horror icons that people are going to want, and they're rare. People always want rare things, so all the attention is getting thrown on there. But what's most interesting about this, and I don't know if it has an official name yet, I don't think anybody's really talked about this yet, but it's been kind of known how the stay-at-home order and, you know, getting these stimulus checks and getting unemployment money and all this, how that's had an effect on the Funko, you know, resale market and the Funko, like, aftermarket, I guess. So not everybody, unfortunately, you know, has extra money, and some people are living month to month, you know, and that's very unfortunate, and that's something that I don't think anybody would be able to see. But other people, you know, who do have their jobs still, or who do have money, you know, to spend freely, they get this extra money that, you know, they don't really need for anything else. You know, they're already paying their bills, they're caught up with everything else, so it's just extra money that they can spend on whatever they want. So this is what leads to kind of just this wildly spending money, which has led to other pops really climbing up in value, and it's leading to these pops climbing up in value too. People have the money now, collecting is something that's fun. These are rare. Again, people are going to want rare things, so they have the money, they want something rare. They're not going to have a problem dropping money on it like that. And also, San Diego Comic-Con had just passed by, so people were able to buy up things. If they were selling them, they were able to sell them and make a decent amount of money off of it. I knew it, and I said in my video I made, there are going to be some that are going to climb up there in value and be really hot, and the hot ones that I can know off the top of my head are the Bakugo. That one I think is like the hot one, and then some of the Funko Shop ones I know are also pretty hot, but that's just because you were only able to get them on the Funko Shop. So it's kind of like this interesting Funko effect that's been kind of just in place right now, and it's why we're seeing a lot of these newer pops kind of climb up there in value. They're starting to climb up by the weeks, by the months, and a lot of the old vaulted ones are starting to get attention now, and they're starting to pick up in value too. So going forward, what I think this means is, if you want any of these horror pops, or if you're debating on getting any of the ones that you see are slowly creeping up in value, it's really a hit or miss on if these things are going to maintain their value or go down. What I do know is that if they're vaulted, they're retired, they're not making them no more. The only ones you can find out there are the only ones that are out there in people's collections or in the market. So the ones like kind of like Ghostface, Billy the Puppet, Sam. Well, Sam actually got a new mold, so maybe not Sam, but Ghostface, Billy the Puppet, Crow, Glow in the Dark. Those you aren't going to find anymore in the store or on the shelves. Unless some guy's hoarding like a whole master case of them in a storage unit, you're not going to really find these in a mass quantity like that anymore. So I would say, if you have the money, and if you can get one at a good price, or if you see one that's slowly climbing up and you want to get it before, it shoots up there, go for it. What we're seeing is a lot of these pops are really, really just shooting up. I don't know, if this is going to continue going into the holidays, but who knows? People are going to want pops as gifts. They're going to want, these vaulted pops that they can't find as gifts. So people are going to splurge a little bit of their money on that, and it just might drive the value up. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like the video, leave a like. What do you guys think is going to be the next, horror pop to jump up there, or just the next kind of new line that's going to slowly start creeping up there too? We're already seeing it with a lot of, like the Myths pops. Those kind of jumped up there. We're starting to see it and starting to see more interest ignite into the DC and Marvel lines. So what do you guys think is going to be the next one to jump up there in price? But that's going to do it for me, guys. That's going to be the end of this video. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I really enjoy putting out these videos for you guys. It's something that I actually thoroughly enjoy, from recording to creating, the idea for the video to editing. It's just something that, that's fun to me. And again, I am going to be releasing a video within the near future. This one is going to be a lot more work into it, though. It's not just going to be, me standing in front of a camera and kind of just talking. This one actually requires a lot of effort into it, which I'm happy to do. And I think of it as a challenge, and that's why I'm going to be doing it. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you have a great day. Peace.